Good evening. I would like to reconvene this regular Board of Education meeting for Washington Unified School District, October 26, 2017. Let the record reflect that all board trustees are present. And can we have Principal Villaseñor lead us in the pledge, please? Although, is she here? She's right there. Oh, thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, that takes us to the announcement of actions taken in closed session. E1 Government Code Section 54957.6. Conference with labor negotiators, WTA, CSEA management. Information was given or was received. E2, Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Release. Information was received. E2, Government Code 54956.9, Existing Litigation, Conference with Legal Counsel, the OAH case number 2017090628. Direction was given. E2, Government Code Section 54956.9, Potential Litigation, Conference with Legal Counsel. Information was received. And E2, Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Superintendent. Information was received. Are there any changes to the agenda? Okay, with no changes, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, the motion was made by Board Trustee Akala. Can I have a second? Seconded by Board Vice President Pizzotti. All those in favor?
Aye.
I too vote aye. And now that takes us to our celebrations. And we have our school report from Westfield Elementary School. And I'd like to welcome back up Principal Villaseñor.
Okay, good evening, Board President Kirby Gonzalez, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Luna, members of the Cabinet, staff, and community. My name is Roxanne Villaseñor, Principal of Westfield Village Elementary School. With me are Assistant Principal Jaime Avelar, Teacher Leader, 6th grade Teacher Leader, Miss Deanna Krisman, 1st grade Teacher Leader, Miss Vanessa Rader, and our courageous 6th grade student who led us through the pledge, Veronica Marmolejo. It is with enthusiasm that we are here to share the exciting learning opportunities taking place at Westfield Village Elementary School. It has been quite the journey, but one we have fully embraced and enjoyed with our students, staff, and families. In this presentation, you will be introduced to a variety of learning experience taking place at Westfield Village Elementary School that are aligned to our district's LCAP goals. Here.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to be here. In LCAP, goal number 1, it is stated that students will graduate from Washington Unified School District college and career ready with the ability to explore opportunities and solve problems effectively in an ever-changing world. Students will demonstrate essential skills in literacy, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and citizenship. We want our students at Westfield to enjoy learning. We recognize that it is good to have an end to journey towards, but it is the journey that matters in the end. In an effort to support the development of 21st century skills, students at Westfield and staff have also been fully engaged in learning processes through an inquiry-based and hands-on learning. Students are given the opportunity to engage with technology as well as multiple methods of accessing the standards and 21st century skills throughout the day and during our after-school STEM classes. Through our STEM classes, students are provided high-interest activities that give them the opportunities to explore and learn about science, technology, engineering, and math to collaboratively find solutions to promote critical thinking. With the support of our innovative technology department members, students have been introduced to coding through the use of OzBots. Through trial and error, students are able to make adjustments to their coding patterns based on desired OzBot actions. In an effort to create a setting where students feel comfortable, relaxed, and engaged while still meeting their unique learning styles, our fifth grade teacher, Amber Joplin, used DonorsChoose.org to seek support in creating a flexible seating environment. The students' response to this flexible seating environment has been positive and has contributed to a personalized learning environment.
Hello, thank you for having us tonight. And I just pressed that one, thank you. In LCAP goal number 2, it is stated that we are aiming to create an individualized, high-quality education experience which addresses the unique needs of the whole child, igniting a passion for learning. Students will experience a broad course of study that includes career technical education pathways, visual and performing arts, higher level mathematics, laboratory and applied sciences, and world languages. At Westfield, we have a full-time VAPA music instructor, Mrs. Paula Ramirez. Through the support of Ms. Ramirez, students are introduced to and taught the foundation of music. In the image projected, we were honored to have Superintendent Luna lead our transitional kindergarten students through a music lesson. This was definitely a memorable experience for all. Due to the dedication of our fourth grade teachers, Mrs. Barnes and Mrs. Gould, parents and volunteers, our fourth graders had the chance to visit Sutter's Fort. They even rode on a carriage riding through downtown while singing songs taught by Mrs. Ramirez from the era they were studying. Students, teachers, parents, and volunteers contributed to making costumes and materials to depict the 1840s. Student parent volunteers were trained at each station to teach the students how to make and use materials and objects from the Gold Rush era. Patrons were visiting the fort were able to watch our students in action. The experience will occur again for this year's fourth grader due to a generous donation, support from our PTO and their teachers. Westfield is also excited for the opportunity to expand our educational program through the 6th grade. This has been especially exciting for me. I took the lead with this. With the expansion of our grade levels, we were excited for our 6th graders to attend Sly Park for a full week. This unforgettable experience allowed the children to learn hands-on science with students from other areas. Being out in the forest further enriched the learning process and was a first-time experience for many of our students. And here to speak about that is my student, Veronica.
Hello. Hello, my name is Veronica Marmolejo. I am 11 years old and I attend Westfield Village. I went to Sly Park with my class on September 18th to 21st. My two favorite activities again were the rock climbing and the night hike. The night hike was fun because we were able to look at the stars. It was my first time staying away from home. It was scary because I have never been traveling away from home before. It was also my first time rock climbing. I liked it because it was something that I've never experienced before. And when I was coming back down, it felt as if I was flying. It would be important to continue providing this experience for all 6th graders so they could have an opportunity to experience fun activities like rock climbing, night hike, or spending time with people they could eventually become good friends with. Thank you for supporting our school.
To ensure our students are prepared to successfully transition into middle school, Westfield's 4th through 6th grade teachers have all been AVID trained and are committed to embedding AVID strategies throughout our instructional practices. Westfield staff and community continuously strive to provide enrichment opportunities that further support their education through field trips that directly connect to their learning. Westfield staff and teachers are always ready to bring real-world learning into the classroom. All staff work together to allow students to experience and learn from the 2017 Eclipse in small groups. Eclipse glasses were ordered by Ms. Leon, and each child had the opportunity to go out and learn firsthand about astronomy.
LCAP goal number 3 states that students will be college and career ready through the district's system of professional practice that incorporates strong collaboration, support, mentorship, development, and training for all educators in order for our students to be successful in an ever-changing community and world. Westfield teachers are united in their vision and their belief that each child will be provided with an extraordinary education through collaboration and student-centered decisions. Teachers learn together through active participation during site collaboration with colleagues from various grade levels on topics directly related to their practice and needs. Westfield teachers and staff are lifelong learners that learn side by side to provide high-quality teaching and learning for all students through many experiences they provide to their students. This is evident through the number of Westfield staff readily available to participate in district-wide initiatives, from piloting new curriculum, Dream Team participation, EL Ambassador Program, among a variety of other committee and cadre participation. Westfield's high level of staff participation stems from our sincere belief in the Washington Unified School District's objective to create a system of professional practice that incorporates strong collaboration, support, mentorship, development, and training for all educators that is responsive to our changing community and world.
Good evening. LCAP goal number 4 states students will find joy through their educational experience and will attend schools in an environment conducive for learning that are safe, healthy, nurturing, and supportive as they become independent and lifelong learners. At Westfield, students are motivated to learn through creative learning incentives and experiences, including trips that connect the classroom to the real world. One of our teacher leaders, Deanna Grisman, is taking the charge on the Sanford Harmony Buddy Program, which supports our existing community circles that were recognized as a need last year, prompting us to adopt the morning meeting practices. The Sanford Harmony Buddy Program serves as a great resource and validation to our efforts. Thank you for your support in implementing the program. The next slide speaks to the idea of a growth mindset. This concept has been fully embraced by our staff and students. It was introduced to us by Superintendent Luna. Having had the opportunity to reflect on our own mindset has given us perspective and the opportunity to explore ways of modeling and teaching this practice at the site level. Of the reduced suspensions at our site, 41 of the 56, or 73%, were improvements in violent behaviors. With less suspensions comes more time in class, which translates to increased academic success. Staff have focused on teaching students about respectful interactions and providing students with coping skills. Students were also supported through our outreach team, Mrs. Valadez, Mrs. Aguilar, and Mrs. Jaques. This year, we are striving to further reduce suspensions through continuing last year's supports and practices and adding new motivators for positive behavior that include positive office referrals, Leaders of the Month awards, among other systems of support.
In LCAP goal number 5, it is stated we will unify our community in cultural sensitive ways to engage all members involved in the education of our students. We have done this through weekly coffee socials provided to Westfield parents and guardians, giving them the opportunity to engage with staff and to support in their child's educational plans and programs. These opportunities allow community building and input from all stakeholders. Donations from our community provide additional support to our families so that students can focus on learning in order to be college and career ready. Here we have our weekly farmers market, which is sponsored by the Yolo County Food Bank, and our Assistance League, which provides donations for uniforms, which allow our students to be successful in supporting our uniform policy. Our first grade team, Ms. Rader, Ms. McNamara, Ms. Morago, provided a learning opportunity for parents through a parent university night that included hands-on learning. Just last night, our kindergarten team, Ms. Bonner, Ms. Bowler, and Ms. Sabatke, also led a parent university with the focus on early literacy at home. Next month, our special education teachers will be leading our families through an introduction of STEM activities. Staff, friends, and family came together for Westfield's second annual Unity in the Community Dance. Good food, music, made for a memorable experience for our students. And a special thanks goes out to Miss Christy Jordan for providing the lively music. This year, Westfield had all but one teacher return and have gained a full-time RSP teacher, fully credentialed school psychologist, and speech therapist. Staff, students, and families feel the stability and communal bonds, further enriching the learning experiences at Westfield Village as a Wildcat. We'd like to thank you for this opportunity to share all the great things happening at Westfield Village Elementary School. We take great pride in the growth we have seen in the last 2 years. We are confident that with your continued support, we will continue to demonstrate growth of our academic programs, school culture, and community engagement. We value every opportunity to showcase our growth we have made at Westfield. So, when you have a free moment, we encourage you to visit our classrooms, students, staff, and even join us for a Friday morning cup of coffee to meet our partners in education, which are our parents and community members. Thank you.
You have any comments? I'm sure we have some comments if you want to stay up for just a minute. Yeah. Want to comment?
I just had a quick, basically a kudos for reducing the suspensions. That's outstanding. Have you guys found any alternative forms of deterrence, I guess, to bad behavior?
Yes, we and Jaime, I can say specifically, and together, we are in exploring restorative practices and believe strongly in this. We don't want our disciplinary practices to be punitive in nature,
Right.
and believe that the purpose of taking action in a disciplinary manner should be corrective in nature and an overall learning experience. And so I anticipate a continued reduction in suspensions as a result for this year.
Okay, great, thank you.
Trustee Pizzotti, if I may also add, one of the things that I'm just taking any opportunity to brag on my schools. One of the things that the Westfield staff has done, specifically Principal Villaseñor, is she's brought trauma-informed care professional development to her staff, which allows them to have greater empathy and tolerance, and I think that has also helped to reduce some of the behaviors that are seen with our students. So another kudos to the work that they've done. And one more shout out. Yesterday, KVIE, am I saying it right?
Channel 6.
Channel 6 came out to film their staff and the day of life of a principal, celebrating the great work that Westfield has done.
Yeah. So, and thank you. To build, thank you for bringing that up. We did partner with Yolo County to bring in training, which was a training that was desired and requested by staff. And so the training does extend after contract hours, and our teachers are willing and eager to participate in the training to receive more clear understanding, the impact of trauma on the brain, how to build quiet, calming corners, and which is why we brought the morning meeting. And so we were pleased to see all the resources that were available in the kit, so teachers didn't have to look and explore alternative questions of the day or activities. It's there packaged, and so we also appreciate that sensitivity and the recognition for that to be brought into our classrooms. So.
Yeah, I just want to appreciate your leadership. You know I love Westfield Village. I love going there. It's just such a family setting, and how else do you reduce suspensions? You change the school climate, right, through strong leadership and strong staff, commitment from the community. I mean, the families there. It's just welcoming every time I'm on campus. I haven't visited recently, but really want to appreciate all the hard work that you put into kind of creating that environment for the community. I mean, and you kind of lead with the community, right, and the teachers, and so I love that, and I appreciate all that you all do there. So.
I feel very fortunate to be a part of this community, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, and I was just going to say, I went out to the coffee in the mornings that you had, and it was great. The parents are so enthusiastic, and they feel very engaged. You know, they love being able to have a principal and teachers, vice principals, that they can partner with, and it really makes them part of their children's lives. And just seeing, you know, the enthusiasm out there, and we know that parent engagement is, you know, one of the links there, you know, in terms of the achievement gap, you know, turning that around. So,
Thank you.
Great job.
And I just want to say thank you very much for being a voice for that school and bringing that school back to the community, because I'm sure a lot of the staff, a lot of the students, a lot of the parents, the history has been that that school has been forgotten. And I know you work out of a very small office. You do miracles in that small office. And not just our community. I was in Sacramento, deep Sacramento, I believe is Elk Grove, and I got approached by one of your relatives saying, wow, you got a good one. So you're not just our community, you're over the river, and we are so glad we have you, and you're doing wonderful things at that site. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
It is. It's really special to hear how much has gone on. You know, the STEM and you know, I love the morning meeting book too. Personally, I'm a little biased, but I love that book. And just all the things going on. I hope some of these pieces, though, like the flexible seating and others, maybe can be shared out, the successes that go well, you know, used almost like a pilot for other people that might be interested. As we think about refreshing some of our desks and things like that, maybe we need to have those conversations before we bring forward, you know, furniture, and so I hope that those conversations can happen with all the work you do. And I just want to thank you all. And Veronica, you did a wonderful job. I also love Sly Park, and the night walk is also my favorite too. So thank you for coming. Thank you. I know you all had a big day at school today, so thank you for everything you do for kids and for being here tonight. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and so with that takes us into our student and association reports, and we do not have a student board member tonight, so I will go on to our WTA report, and that is with Don Stauffer.
Good evening. WTA is going to be changing its name in the near future. Our new name is going to be the West Sacramento Teachers Association. We've been going through and looking at our organization and our processes, and a name change is one of the aspects of this, and so keep an eye out for updates. It's in process now. We're hoping to have a school board and WTA dinner or other event, something like that, coming up in either late November or early December. Waiting confirmation right now from our Culinary Academy and Cheryl Sutton is what date might work for them. And so as soon as we know something, I'll let you guys know, because you don't want to miss that. I can't speak for everyone, but I can say that our recent PD day was very valuable for me as a science teacher. We've been, as you know, implementing next generation science standards. And the trainings I attended on that day actually were very topical and were very good for what I'm doing right now in the classroom. And I know with our science team, we're probably going to be revising, which is, of course, what we should be doing, how we implement the new science standards. So I'm excited and learned a lot on that day. Our bargaining team met with the district counterparts on Monday. This was an introductory meeting and to establish ground rules and set up and learn the processes that we're going to be following this season in bargaining. As you know, we went through the interest-based bargaining training, which you had a little taste of last night. And so everybody's kind of feeling their way around this because it's a different way of approaching this. We're grateful that the trainers are going to be available and guiding us as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and then we have our CSEA report with Daniel Gandara.
Good evening. A couple things going on. We are finishing up our initial proposal for our negotiations to take place, so you guys should have that here probably next board meeting. I am working with Amber Lee on sending some more paraeducators this year to the Paraeducator Conference. I believe that takes place in February, so she will be sending an email out in a couple weeks, middle of November. And also mark your calendars, Board, Superintendent Luna, for December 21st, CSEA will be having their Christmas party. I like to let things early. I'm not a late guy. So you guys are more welcome to come, and there'll be good food. I have a hand in it. And this is my CSEA's Labor Relations Representative, Sandra Barrero. She has a brief update.
Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Luna. My name is Sandra Barrero, and I'm the CSEA Labor Relations Representative for the chapter. I've met some of you, but this is my first time here tonight because usually the relationship between CSEA and management is cooperative. I'm here tonight to talk about 4 letters of reprimand that were issued to 4 CSEA members. A serious incident occurred at Alice Norman, and a student was left unattended. But the letters of reprimand are not over that incident. The letters of reprimand are over a communication policy that Director Kendra Reynolds believes she effectively communicated with staff. However, if you ask her staff, some of which are here tonight, they believe differently. So the letters were issued to the paraeducator that found the student and returned the student to the classroom, the paraeducator assigned to that classroom, the paraeducator that was on break and did not witness the event nor was responsible, and a paraeducator that was assigned to a different classroom altogether. If you're like me, you're wondering, why would the same level of discipline be imposed in all cases? Why would the individuals that are not directly involved receive the same level of discipline or the paraeducator that returned the student? It's because Ms. Reynolds is not concerned with the individual employee. It didn't occur to her that some of these employees have been with the district for 10 or 20 years and have never received discipline. Since these employees have never had issues with other supervisors, maybe Ms. Reynolds should consider and reevaluate her own communication policy. The progressive disciplinary steps include a verbal warning, a letter of concern, and then a letter of reprimand. Ms. Reynolds issued letters of reprimand because what she is concerned with is instilling fear in her staff. Some of her staff members just told me while we were outside that she doesn't even refer to them by their names. Earlier today, I heard that she's intimidating staff by requiring them to sign this handbook that CSEA has not received or reviewed to determine whether or not we need to negotiate the impacts and effects. CSEA will not allow members to be intimidated by management. Our request is that the letters of reprimand be rescinded. Some of our members are here in support. If you guys could please stand up. And the paraeducators that I mentioned are here too. Chief Job Steward Daniel Gondara sent you all letters that include more details about the incidents. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to either him or myself. Thank you.
Daniel?
We have a question.
I just have a quick question. December 21st, same place?
DFW.
Thank you.
You know the street, I don't know the name.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That takes us into our, I'll read our statement for public comments. The board respects the rights of members of the public to speak to us regarding matters on the agenda and other matters within the jurisdiction of the board. However, it's important for members of the public to recognize that comments regarding students other than the speaker's own children made during a public board meeting may be legally actionable as a violation of student privacy. Both state and federal law prohibit the board and others from discussing confidential student information in open session. To this end, be advised that if you reference the student's name other than your own student, you will be out of order, and your comments may not be protected by the privileges that protect public speech. You could be found liable for such comments in legal proceedings. Furthermore, it's important for the public to understand that negative or derogatory comments made against district employees or even others made in a public board meeting may be actionable civil defamation. As such, the board reminds the public that the district has existing board policy that allows the public to lodge a complaint against a district employee. The policy provides a comprehensive procedure for reviewing and responding to public complaints. This process provides a more thorough opportunity to be heard than is allowed under the open meeting law that governs this meeting. And public comments will also be limited to 3 minutes when you come up. And if you have a blue slip that you would like to fill out that are over on the side, we ask that you fill it out before the end of a staff report on that item. Okay, I'm taking the public comment or the comments that we have now as under P1. So these look like they're all listed for under P1, public comment at that time. Okay. All right. So now that takes us to board and superintendent comments. So Board Trustee Wong.
I don't have a lot to report on since our last board meeting, but as a CSBA delegate, I was able to actually verify a Golden Bell visit to Natomas regarding their culinary arts program, and they spoke very highly of ours and the kind of the collaboration around that. So really, was really impressed, but we will have to wait till the CSBA conference to see whether or not they get this Golden Bell Award. But they're doing similar things to actually the community not food banks, but and whatnot. And so I just really they just spoke really highly of our programs. I just wanted to brag a little bit about us on that tip. I also wanted to share just an announcement from that Yolo County Office of Education is having a Building a Resilient YOLO Summit for students, education staff, public agencies, and civic-minded individuals to learn about relationship-based strategies to engage students in education. So, and that's happening at YOLO. It's $25 on Yolo County Office of Education on October 30th, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So for those who are interested. That's it for me.
Thank you. Board Trustee Akala?
I attended the Elkhorn Village and the Stonegate Fall Festivals, and it was fantastic. The parents, the kids, the teachers out there were having a great time. They had raffles, great food. Over in Elkhorn, I had a great conversation with the principal, and I really enjoyed a lot of the food that was out there. I bid on all the raffle items, and I think I must have bid on like 20 of them. Didn't get one, which is really good because I kept thinking if I get them all, that's going to be a lot of money I'm going to be spending. But it was wonderful seeing the children out there and the music. Some of the bands performed. It was really enjoyable. Everyone just had a great time. And when you're out there and you see the sense of community that comes together, it makes you really happy to see everyone partaking, and I'm hoping that I can attend the festival tomorrow. I think it's at the Culinary Academy. I think it's Bright School, so they're having another one, and luckily that one I think will be from 6 until 8, so it'll be a little later, and I encourage everyone to attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Trustee Cruz?
I have no committee updates. I just want to thank the staff and administration. Yesterday was PSAT Day at River City, and I look forward to hearing the stats because I know this was the first time that the school district paid for it, and I'm anxious to hear how successful that was. So I also just wanted to make a statement for myself. It's very hard for me as a board member to approve requests from staff, such as approving positions, field trips, and facility requests, when I feel like policy and procedures are not being followed by site staff. And I say site staff because I know administration are continuously reminding not just orally, emails, or via email, the public also. And it's hard for me to approve things when I feel like some of these things are being hammered over and over and over again. Often I hear staff saying, well, the board's making us do it. Well, yeah, because we follow policy and procedures, and I don't mind being blamed for holding people accountable for following policy and procedure, and it has to do with equity on all school sites. But I do have a hard time understanding holding people accountable only because a board member witnessed a violation on a site. It's my hope that all are being held accountable, not just when board members come on the site. And the most important thing to make sure everybody's held accountable is the safety of our children. And so if you want to blame board member, I will say me, not all of us, you can blame me for policy and procedure, but I think it's very important that we all work together because we're all here for the safety of our children. And if we don't have those policies and procedures that aren't being followed, then we're going to lose some safety problems on our sites. So it's just hard for me to approve things if we're not going to follow policy and procedure. And more on a happy note, I just would like to say have a safe and fun Halloween and try not to bring all that candy to the site.
Okay, Vice President Pizzotti.
Yeah, thank you. I don't really have a lot to report except for today I went out to Sonoma. I represent a union of psychiatric nurses that work at Sonoma Developmental Center, and a portion of Sonoma Developmental Center burned in the fires. So while I was down there, I decided to take a little drive to Santa Rosa, and I saw a school that was still standing, and completely communities around it were just ashes. Just rubbles. And it really shook me to my very core to see something like that. It was very sad. But I wish Daniel and Sandra were still in the room, because I spoke with Dave Lowe, who's the executive director of CSEA, and he said they had over 100 staff members lose their homes in the fires, as well as I saw a news report that there was over 80 teachers in Santa Rosa that lost their homes. And so at a minimum, just at a very minimum, that's 180 staff members that aren't going to be able to effectively, service our children in those communities. And I can only imagine what they're going through. So I guess what I really wanted to say is that if we have any way at all to provide support or to help out some of the victims, especially in our school communities in those areas, with donations or clothing or cans of food or gift cards or anything that we can do. These people are trying to put their lives back together, and they've had everything utterly gutted and taken away from them. And it just really took me a moment to try and grasp the gravity of that situation. And I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention and say, I hope we can all do something, or just a little something. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I do not have any committee updates. I would like to acknowledge that many of my board colleagues and I went and listened to Superintendent Luna, as well as superintendents from all over Yolo County speak at the Yolo County School Board meeting, and it was wonderful to get to hear what's happening across Yolo County, the way that districts are serving kids, what they're doing, and of course we appreciated the work that's happening here, and that was all shared. And so everything that staff is doing and the hard work and the focus on our kids was shared, and it was just really a great celebration. I am a little biased maybe, but I think our district was by far the best presentation.
I agree.
But they were all
very good.
So it was a nice day, and of course, we're thankful for all the superintendents coming together. I'd like to thank my colleagues also for, we attended our meeting yesterday. We had a special board meeting to learn about interest-based bargaining, and so we spent the evening last night together doing that. So thank you for a busy week learning together. And then in terms of CSBA, I did meet recently with their rep to talk about kind of goals and visions and things that that I'm interested in. He wanted to reach out. I recommended he reach out to all of you, and so consider having that meeting too and sharing what's important to you as CSBA looks at their vision as well and what they're doing. And there is the spaghetti feed tomorrow at Bright. And then also you can head right over from there to River City High School Productions is doing a craft event from, I think, 7:30 to 8:30, right across the street. Okay, so that takes us to Superintendent Luna.
Thank you, President Kirby Gonzalez, Board of Trustees, staff, and guests. This evening, I just wanted to give a brief update about where I've been, the really exciting work that is happening across the district, preparing our students for graduation and college and career readiness. So thank you, trustees, for attending our Yolo County elected officials breakfast. There is just a snapshot of the superintendents in Yolo County, along with President Robert Nesson, who is the president of Sacramento State University. Kind of feeling like a lone wolf there, representing female leadership there. But I got to tell you that it's a good county to be in, and Washington Unified really is doing some exciting work for students and preparing our way for college and career readiness. I also wanted to let you know that our friends, the veterans of foreign wars from VFW there, came over to Riverbank School and did the annual ceremony of the flag retirement ceremony on the campus there. And we really cherish our relationship with VFW there, who are great partners and also good partners in teaching our students about the flag and about really what this means in flag retirement. So we thank them for coming out to Riverbank. It was mentioned earlier that our district had a professional learning day on Friday, October 13th, and I would just be remiss if I didn't say thank you to parents for allowing this Friday for staff to be together as professionals, to take time throughout the day to learn and collaborate together on behalf of all students. It was a very successful day. We had 94% attendance of our teachers and administration there, which is a great attendance record. We had CSEA employees working on that day join us in the morning and at noon, just so that we could all be together as a district celebrating our work together. Here is just a little snapshot on the left there. It just shows you the content that our teachers were able to go to. And the picture there is just one little snapshot of that. It wasn't about a person teaching all day and the teacher sitting for 6 hours. It was really about the teachers moving, graphing, charting, getting brainstorming ideas and sharing the work that they're doing so that other students could benefit as well. One session that I sat in on was led by our own teachers. So most of the TK through grade 5 professional learning workshops were led by our very own specialists in our own district. And so that's a huge growth step for our district, that we are allowing our own experts to share the good work with everyone else. Of course, all of these things cannot happen without a team on the side. And I just have to give a shout out to these three here. They were so embarrassed to get their picture taken, and they were embarrassed that I was going to say something. But without these three superheroes, October 13th would not have happened. And they were just workhorses in trying to make it the most professional, the most wonderful learning atmosphere for all of our staff. So I have to give a shout out to Connie, Sarah, and Ellie for just all their work in that background, the little nuances to make everybody feel comfortable and welcome. So we thank the team for that. PSAT test was given yesterday, and the good news is that this year we had 752 students take the PSAT. Last year there were 300. So I want to thank Principal Moisage for just setting this up. This was a huge, massive undertaking to test 752 students. And this PSAT, while it's not a requirement for college, the PSAT really is that preparatory step that all of our high school students need to realize they can do this. This is a practice. This is a taste of how you can prepare yourself. So all 10th grade students took this test. They will be able to take it again if they want next year to better their score and to get more practice towards that. But this is a true effort in using our supplemental concentration grant funds to specifically give equitable access to all students. Students who thought they shouldn't take it. Why should they? Maybe they don't think they should go to college or had never know what it's like to go to college because nobody else in their family has gone. But this here, having it during the school day, every 10th grader taking it doesn't give them an option except to try and to have another opportunity. So I want to give a shout out to Principal Moisich. I know he's back there. And just want to also give you a snapshot of how massive that's only 2 rooms. We had many, many rooms there. And just want to give a shout out to River City on that. Went to Elkhorn Village School and spent some one-on-one time with our principal, Principal Sal Garcia, who is new to our district, but not new to administration. One of the great things about Principal Garcia is that he has made an immediate connection with our families of Elkhorn Village School. Immediate connection because of his background, his experience, his culture, and his immediate bilingual connection that the parents are comfortable. And so we want to also just show you what's going on. I have seen massive improvements in the past 2 years, and I'm standing here not just saying that. Visiting classrooms, I have seen our children are truly improving and truly transitioning over to those Common Core standards. So on the left-hand side there, you see a couple charts that talk about ELD, because that's one of our focus areas, and that's for language development of our English learners. And our teachers are working hard in embracing the concept of integrating ELD strategies throughout the day, but also designating time for English learners to develop their language, but also develop language skills of students who don't speak another language but just only speak English. So it's all about language development across the district. On the right-hand side there, you see a lot of writing, and I saw a lot of writing. I specifically visited all 3rd grade classrooms at Elkhorn School, and so I could just see the gamut of writing, the structure that is happening for our students to successfully become good writers. What you see here, if you visited, you see organizational writing process happening. You see integrated ELD, designated ELD, and this is a snapshot of a student who was so very kind to allow me to take a picture of his work, because I walked into a 3rd grade class and this was the bilingual class. The bilingual class where half of the time it is taught in Spanish and also in English. And what the beauty of this is that our students are becoming biliterate. If you see on the left-hand side, that whole page is written in Spanish. And on the right-hand side, the student was working on an English piece. So students are truly becoming biliterate beginning in the early grades as they progress and get ready for River City High School to get that biliteracy seal on their diploma. There's also in the 3rd grade, not just writing was going on, but I want to shout out specifically some things here. On the left-hand side, you see a teacher there specifically holding up a whiteboard like that. And so that teacher did an immediate change where he called over a small group of students, direct instruction, giving them help on whiteboards, real easy. And then the rest of the kids were having a great time in math on the computers. On the right-hand side, I walked into a classroom very robust in language. They were all speaking at the same time. Because you see kids sitting on the floor there, and they're sitting next to each other, it's because they're sharing their work, and they're editing each other's work. That's the high level of Bloom's taxonomy that they talk about analysis. That's exactly what our third grade students were doing. It was amazing. So what you see here, if you're going to walk into these classrooms, what we saw at that time was peer editing. We also saw small group direct instruction, and we also saw literacy through technology. Amazing work at Elkhorn. I also visited Bridgeway Island School, and I specifically went through the third grade classes there too. So on the left-hand side, you see a teacher who is continuing the theme throughout the district about superhero, about building kids up to be their own superheroes. On the right-hand side, I'm showing you this weird picture because I want you to know that we're work in progress. Work in progress meaning I was in the classroom and all technology broke down. And the teacher started to get frantic. I said, don't worry, I need to know this. Tell me about it. And what had happened is the internet went down, not in our district, through the county. So our whole the whole tube, the whole pipeline there went down. But I got to experience what our teachers experience in that, and she was doing a fabulous job trying to get the kids on to the computer because they were doing assessments. So I just want to give a shout out. We're work in progress. This is our first year doing assessments on the computer. So I just wanted to let the board know we are working on this, and it's very innovative, and it's the right direction, but we're still working on it. So here's the thing that kind of blew my mind, and it really wanted me to go back to teaching again. I went into Mr. Wong's class in third grade, and I got to tell you, I've never seen such an incredible third grade teacher. So I go in, and I'm sitting down, and they came in directly from recess, and I wanted you to get a glimpse of what he did with the kids in actually, it wasn't 5 minutes, it was like 3 minutes. No pencils, no papers. It was mental math. This is what he did. He said, here's an equation, and we're going to solve the equation. So 2 students shared how they got the answer. Now, we all already know you're already solving that because you're afraid I'm going to ask you what the answer is. I know that. So you've already figured out your way of doing it, but here's what our students did. This is student 1. Student 1 said they did that, 100 plus 29. Then that same student said, I broke off 29 and went 25 plus 4. Right there, I'm thinking that's way too much thinking, right? But that's what this student did to solve the problem. And what he did was he broke that up so that he could then start chunking his thinking. Then he went to 16 plus 4. So he took that 4 and left that 25 alone. Then he took the 20, took the 25 above, and got 45, and then added the 100. That was his entire mental process. Now, another student shared how they got this answer. That was the way the student thought through. 16 minus 1. Now, I would never have thought to do that. But the whole point from Mr. Wong was there are many ways to find the same answer. And that's really the concept of Common Core. It's the concept of thinking about how you're getting your answer so that as things get harder, as you get older, you already have understood the thought process, the conceptualization. So this is what Common Core is about. Our teachers are teaching it. Our students this is what we call critical thinking. So kudos, third grade across the district. We're doing great work.
So you can't just, do the carry of the one and then
They don't even use that word carry over the one kind of a concept. It's pretty amazing what our kids are doing. Going up to the college level, wanted to give a Washington Unified School District welcome to the new president of Sacramento City College, who is our new partner for our dual enrollment for our high school kids going to community college. This is our new president, Michael Gutierrez. They had a nice reception, and you see there Dr. Parsons and Principal O'Neill, Principal O'Neill there welcoming and representing Washington Unified. Also wanted to let you know, we're at Stonegate School. They had the camera crews out there yesterday because Stonegate this year was the school chosen for flood protection program. And the kids walked away with great resources, great backpacks, survival backpacks. They got to do some hands-on science experiments and learning about flood protection and what a flood does to the land, why we have levees. So it was a really great opportunity for our kids. They had a computer program to walk them through some flood protection activities. So I want to thank the city for partnering with us and letting our kids be a part of that. And lastly, I want to remind the board that we have California State Senator Dr. Richard Pan coming out to Elkhorn on Monday morning at 10:30. He's going to be doing an assembly with our Elkhorn students regarding Red Ribbon Week, and really it's about health and wellness. And so we welcome Dr. Pan anytime to our schools, and we're grateful that he's chosen us to come and visit. So if you are able to make it, we'll all be there to give Dr. Pan a nice welcome from our district. And that's my update tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oops. Okay, thank you. That takes us to the consent agenda. Any changes, or do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, the motion was made by Board Trustee Cruz, seconded? Seconded by Board Trustee Wong. All those in favor?
Aye.
And I too vote aye. We do not have a public hearing, so that takes us to information discussion items. We have P1, the Student Support Services update. I do have some blue slips that we could take prior, possibly, and then you could do the presentation with that. And so that is our anti-bullying programs in Washington Unified, and that is with Jerry Smith, who's our director. So our blue slips, would you like to come up now, or do you want to wait for the presentation? Because I have Dave Weller, if you would like to come up and make your comment.
I am here to represent the children who have been bullied in our school district, and I want you to hear the responses from administration when they complain. This is the silence that my daughter has heard for the last 3 years. This is the silence that I've heard for the last 3 years to my daughter's complaints, to my complaints, to the administration, to the teachers. Are you hearing this loud and clear? Is the silence deafening? Let me tell you about the actions that have been taken by administration in the last 3 years. Linda, this is the response that I've gotten from you for multiple calls and even since the last board meeting that I spoke to. This is the response that I've gotten from you when I asked the administration at Stonegate to set up a meeting with you. I have not heard enough.
Thank you. We have Miss Gregory, come on up.
Thank you. Since speaking about bullying a few months ago and revealing about some of my own personal secrets, I found it easier to speak out for issues that I would normally just think about and wish that somebody else would take care of. Now I feel like it is important for me to be involved and reach out and help those that I see that need help. We live in a global society, and the days where we are only impacted by our own small community are gone. We also live in a society where people do not know how to relate to each other appropriately. The internet is all in our homes. The media creates what we believe. People become copycats and reenact what others have done. Children are being raised differently. Teens interact with each other more on social media than they do in person. There is a digital record of everything, and issues don't get resolved or forgotten. We need to have thick skins, build walls emotionally, or not be connected to feel safe. I propose that Washington Unified approves a task force to create an anti-bullying campaign across the district. It should be comprised of parents, students, and teachers who are at the heart of the issue with the community and district support. We could create an educational component that deals with who is being bullied, videos made by the students to share their experiences of being bullied, and empowerment solutions on how to deal with the bullies. We have seen how powerful it is when students become the driving force behind a mission. An example would be Leia with her Because I Care bracelets. We need to be proactive and give our students the skills to communicate, information to understand each other, and the tools to empower themselves to become fully functioning adults. We owe it to them to bridge the gap that has been made with progress, technology, and the changes in society. If we can go beyond academics and think beyond careers and monetary success, but to human beings and personal success and the future, then I think we could be a district that truly creates a socially responsible, well-rounded 21st century citizen. Thanks.
Thank you. And we have Ali Moneb. Will you please correct me if I said your name wrong?
Ali Monib.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ali Monib, and I'm a victim of bullying. Today, I am going to be talking about my experience with bullying. I have been physically and verbally abused because I am a Muslim. My classmates would call me Osama bin Laden, terrorist, ISIS, 9/11 bomber. Me and my mother have been going to the principal asking them to take action, but the bullying has gotten worse and has affected me emotionally, physically, and mentally to the point where I feel depressed and insecure. I lost my interest in school because of bullies. It made me very tired and I stressed a lot. My depression and stress got worse that my level of education was dropping to a point that had made me even more upset. Adding to my stress because we were very low, my grades were very low from the bullying. I went to the doctors to cure my depression, so therefore I am here this evening to request from the Board of Education to take action before someone really gets hurt and nobody gets left behind on their education. There has to be a better way than what is working now. I appreciate your support and generosity. Thank you and have a great evening.
Ali, can I quickly ask what school you go to?
I go to Stonegate Elementary School.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Thank you. And I hope that you hear the resources that are offered that are going to be in the presentation right now, and we have your information as well to reach out. Okay, that brings us to Jerry Smith, our Director of Student Services.
Thank you, Board President Kirby Gonzalez, members of the board, Dr. Luna, Mrs. Luna. I'm here this evening to, I've been asked to give a brief description of our anti-bullying program and then the process that needs to be used to go through when we do have a suspected bullying situation. So I'm going to start with this. As most of you know, we've talked about it before. Kevin Bracey's our main Reach One Alliance program. Kevin works with each one of our schools within the district. He does 4 K-5 programs annually, 3 6 to 8 programs, one of them being empathy training for each one of the 6 to 8 schools. And then also at River City, he's done some assemblies this year, and he's also working with some small groups. So I think you know a little bit about Kevin and that process. I think the major concern right now is the process of when things are reported and what should be happening and what may or may not be happening. On our website, if you look on our website, the very first thing that you can click onto as far as a link is board policy concerning the bullying policy 5131.2. That's just our district's board policy. When you click onto that link, you guys have a hard copy of it, and you guys have seen it before previously. On the other side, for suspected bullying, there's a suspected bullying report that you're able to pull up. If a family's at home and they think something's going on, they're allowed to fill it out and get it to the school to get things started. And then also the bullying investigation process. There's a flow chart that the site administrators go through when there's been a suspected bullying report. It's been pointed out, and rightly so, that not everyone has the internet, and so that we need to find other means to make sure that families and students and teachers have access to these forms. So we have, in the last few weeks, and I'll talk to you about this at the very end, work with our administrators on making sure we have hard copies on the campus so that we can go after this stuff right away. These are just the front pages of those pieces that you link onto that you already have in your hard copy form. These are forms and processes that we use within the district when we're starting an investigation for bullying. I think the main thing that's happened in the last month as we've started to look at this in more depth is that we are very much going after the idea of making sure that we're all using the same language, using the same information, that what is rude behavior, what is mean behavior, and what is truly bullying behavior. And if you look up there, and this is just broken down, on the right-hand side, there is a link that you can click onto. It's not live tonight, but if you take this and are able to click onto it at home, there's a hard copy for people in the audience as well over there on an article that we've started using with our site administrators when parents come in concerning possible bullying situation, but certainly where there's been inappropriate behavior, whether it's rude behavior, like I said, mean, or bullying. We have started using that each time families come in or they make contact with us and sit down with them and say, okay, if you think that this behavior is in this situation, let's go ahead and fill out the suspected bullying report. Okay. The article does a great job of making sure that we can kind of decipher the difference between them with, rude behavior being unintentional, but really not appropriate behavior, but it still hurts someone else. Mean behavior where there's some purposeful hurt, and sometimes it can happen once, maybe twice, but if that continues on over and over with one individual towards another individual or a group of people towards an individual, then we're on the edge of being in the bullying situation where it's intentionally aggressive, repeated over time, and then it becomes an imbalance of power between those two sides. Here's what's happened in the last 3 weeks. We've started a process for professional learning modules for the administration. I've had sessions with both our assistant principals and our principals going over and reiterating the process that we want to use when families bring in concerns, whether bullying or mean behavior, including the fact of the use of this article now, and then also following through on the suspected bullying report and following the investigation flow chart. We will now be asking the administration to go to their staffs and sit down with their staffs and make sure that they're aware of the process that we're using and how they fit into the situation in the fold. We would like to start parent education courses on each one of the campuses that's run by the site administration, and we'll be giving them support through our social service department as well, talking with families about what they see is going on, what they're hearing is going on, and how the administration and the school sites are reacting to their concerns. We continue to build our peer mediation at all the different sites within the district. Specifically, it's headed up by the program that's at River City, and we're trying to just get it going at all of the K-8 levels. conflict resolution is really a big key for us. I think most of our children are having a tough time, I think it was said very well earlier, because of what they're seeing in society right now. They turn on television and everybody, if not being bullying, certainly being mean and rude and inappropriate comments by adults that we all need to teach our children that that's not the way to handle yourselves. And that's part of our goal for sure. Our role as the adults in the school system is to try to make sure that we can teach kids along the way, yes, reading, writing, arithmetic, etc., but the skills that they're going to need when they go out into society to be a productive member of our society, especially the way they handle themselves with other people. And that's one of our goals. Are we perfect at it? We aren't. I'm not going to sit here and tell you we are. We're still learning this entire process. The big concern that we have from my department right now is that we don't lose sight of what is rude behavior, what is mean, and what is bullying. And what I mean by that is understanding that if every time there's a conflict on a playground and it's a one-time situation between two kids, that we don't just automatically throw out the B word, because it's become such a big buzzword for us. I don't want to lose the importance of bullying as far as really understanding that when that's happening, now we're in situations that can be really dangerous for kids and for other people, making sure that we divide that line. If somebody's rude or mean, it doesn't mean we aren't going to interact at the school sites. Our administrators are going to take that on. And many times, discipline happens to the students that are involved in rude or mean or bullying behavior that the target's family is not aware of, because we can't share that because of confidentiality laws. A lot of times things are happening. When we build the intervention plans that are on the flow chart, we're not allowed to share what's in the intervention plan for the aggressor to the targeted person. We're not allowed to do that, and that makes it really hard. But we're trying to go through the process and get better and better at this all the time. The restorative practices is helping us a lot. When people are willing to participate in the restorative practice process, we're seeing a lot of success. Not only with the kids, but a lot of times with the adults that are concerned, and they have an opportunity at times even to end up meeting with the family of the other kids. It's something that we still want to promote as much as possible. As you know, we have great social service support at the school sites or department with our outreach specialists, our social workers, and we want to make counseling available to not only the targeted students, but also the aggressors, so they can learn how to handle themselves more appropriately. Questions?
Okay, go ahead, Kobe, you go ahead.
Yeah.
I think we all have
Everybody.
questions.
Okay.
We all have them.
Gotcha.
I was looking at this flow chart sort of
Yes.
the reporting or the bullying process. It says all credible incidents are to be reported.
Right.
If you're reporting an incident, I looked over here, it says bullying is intentionally aggressive, repeated over time, and imbalance of power. I'm having trouble with this language in the sense that if it's repeated over time, and how do you determine what is credible? How does the person who's witnessing it determine what is credible? I mean, is there a definition of credible somewhere? I mean, it just seems to be.
Do you have a like a different wording you think might be more appropriate in this situation?
I'm just. It says all credible incidents are to be reported, and I think my question is going towards how is somebody to know what, and who's the arbitrator of what is credible and what isn't?
Sure.
You know, is it the person, like, maybe it's a parent, or maybe it's maybe it's another kid, and do they know the definition of, intentionally aggressive, repeated over time, and balance of power? I have a follow-up question to that, but if you want to.
I think I can't give you an exact answer because of the fact that I wasn't here when this was written. My understanding would be it would be credible if you can point out that those things have happened multiple times and we have behavior like that. I think it becomes credible at that point in time. I think where the wording fits to check where the credibility is up to the administrator when the family comes in and says, Billy and Bob were on a conflict yesterday out on the playground. They've never met each other before, but they got into an incident, and the parent comes in and says, my kid's being bullied. I said, okay, well, let's work with this first. Let's see if we have rude or mean behavior in that situation so we can work with. But if it's clearly happening over and over again, specifically between towards one individual, mostly by one individual or a group of individuals, right at that one person, then I think we have, a credible source and we can start the process for a suspected bullying report.
And then my follow-up to that is, once this investigation starts, how long does the process take?
In a normal situation, when I look through the process, I think this should be handled within 2 to 3 weeks, with the entire process all the way to intervention plans. That's what I believe should happen. But it takes agreement and people working together to see if we can get there. I'm going to sit here and tell you that Washington Unified isn't perfect, and we haven't handled every situation along the way to the exact way it should be. We're learning. A lot of things have been brought to our attention, and we're going to continue to get better at it. That's what I know after this whole situation. But I think in a normal situation, if somebody comes forward and we think it's credible, the fact that we have the pieces that fit together for something that's towards the edge of being bullying, even if we don't know for sure if it is, if it's got a few of the pieces there, we need to research it and find out if it was. After that, we go through the process. As you can see, there's different things that can happen as far as whether they decided there's not bullying or there is. Either way, we're going to start developing intervention plans, and we really want the restorative process to happen so these kids can learn to be able to handle themselves with one another. So, yeah, you bet.
So along those lines is that there's a lot of subjectivity.
Absolutely.
Right, in terms of kind of what, along those lines, like how do you ensure that there's no subjectivity? So I'm like, oh, blow it off. And other people's are, you have really great definitions in here. And what I'm really trying to figure out is the verbal aggression or the relational aggression, right? That people are using the relationship, saying, I'm not going to be your friend.
Yeah.
Right, which is emotionally damaging. And I know, I'm just going to say personally, my child has gone through that. And I didn't realize it was bullying until I'm like, oh yeah, there that is, right? But I think that the teachers' administration have actually, they know of it, like the group of people who this is happening with, and they've dealt with it appropriately. But I think that takes a certain level of knowing the children and those power dynamics. Because if you're not, like, how do you know the investigator knows all that? Right, the power dynamic to say, oh, that's a one-off thing where she said I didn't want to be a friend that one time, versus she did this every 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. So out of curiosity, like, how do you ensure that the investigator, and we're learning, right? So, and that doesn't continue.
Yeah, I think we had a great conversation yesterday at the county student services directors meeting, yeah. and Davis and Woodland, believe it or not, are behind this as far as the way they're handling. They're actually asking to see our suspected bullying form and the process we're using, the investigation flow chart, and we're all going to the same thing about where is that line where we really know exactly what does that mean, what is bullying, and who knows the entire situation. It's something we're going to continue to grow with. It's become a huge issue, not just in Washington Unified, but in virtually every nationwide. I mean, I think we see some things on television on a nightly basis that are concerning to us as far as being bullying throughout this country.
And then when it does happen, how do you ensure that there's no retaliation?
Well, hopefully,
especially in the relational piece, right? Like there's physical and all that other, but the relational piece is a whole nother kind of.
I'm going to sit here and tell you I don't think you can be guaranteed that. I just don't think that can happen. I think all of us, whether during our childhood or during our adult years, have been in situations where we've been shunned or something by friends and pushed away because of different situations and never been able to rebuild those relationships. So I don't think I have an answer that's going to say, well, we're going to be able to fix every one of these situations. I think we need to work very hard to make sure that the very obvious stuff doesn't happen. The shunning and taking students and putting them aside from other students. People, I don't know how else to say this, is that people can be mean. And so if you're looking for to say, can you guarantee that my department's not going to be able to guarantee that?
No, I think more so when you're thinking about your MTSS or kind of that second level, we all love Kevin Bracey, but that's very tier 1 level, right? Then you have tier 2 level and tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3 level. Yeah. How are you ensuring that you're on it, right?
Well,
the relationship is about rebuilding the community, and I was really excited about Westfield Village because they've created a community, a consciousness around relationships, right?
Right.
And so that takes time, and again, we're in the process of changing our school climate, school culture, right? Kevin Brace is just the base.
Absolutely. I agree that Kevin's definitely a tier 1 type situation. I do believe that our social workers and our outreach specialists do a good job reaching out to kids and doing counseling with them on an individual basis to try to support and help them. And honestly, you guys, in my 35 years of being in this business, I've never seen a school district that's put more assets financially and personnel-wise into supporting social stuff from your guys' level, from the cabinet's level, from directors, all the way through. That I don't think there's any place in a community that I've seen, including the parents and the students themselves, that care more about the kids. So I think that we just continue to try to build that system where we get stronger and stronger to help support those kids at the tier 2 and tier 3 levels.
Okay, I do have a question, Jerry. On conflict resolution, I know that when they have the restorative justice practices in other areas, say someone steals something, they sometimes bring both families together, in order to start the conversation, why this person shouldn't have stolen, to apologize, and the other person accepts of that kind. You mentioned that in our situation, families do not come together.
They do at times, but it takes both sides being willing to be able to do that, and sometimes they don't want to work together. So the only choice that we have, as much as possible, if the parents will allow us, to get the kids to work together and try to cure the situation at the site level. We're not in the business of the penal system, and we work really hard, and I think it was mentioned earlier by Westfield, as far as taking those kids, and yeah, there's some discipline at times that's involved with it, but discipline is not punishment, and we're trying to teach those kids, give them discipline that will ensure that situation doesn't happen again. That's our goal in the situation, and that we just think that restorative and conflict resolution type things like that just work so well. Sometimes I think that it's really hard because I think parents get really hurt when their kids have been hurt, and it gets tough to even talk to the other parents, because we as adults sometimes, I don't believe, necessarily handle things as well as kids do.
Another question. Some parents are racist, and they teach their children to be that way. How are we handling this, when you have a president that's out there talking about Latinos and Muslims in such ugly terms, and we have people that agree with that, and then they're teaching their children this? What are we doing in order to educate our children that this is wrong?
Okay, well, we're kind of getting into a little bit different subject here, but I obviously, we're not going to be promoting anything like that in our school system. Certainly, we have the new Second Step program that we're starting to bring in that teaches kids how to handle themselves appropriately with one another. I didn't come talking about the situation with what's happening with students, understanding that there was a huge, I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't heard that there's been huge influx of racial type situations. Most of our bullying stuff is because kids are just not handling themselves correctly with other kids.
We just had a student testify that, he was called really ugly names.
It's horrible.
And
It's
he's
horrible.
Muslim.
It's horrible.
And it wasn't apparently just one student that was doing this.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't heard about the situation.
Would a parent
I'm going
be
to check
called
with the
in?
administration.
Okay.
Oh, yes, especially the parent of the student that's doing that kind of language should be called in and told them what's happening with their kid and why they're saying those things. Absolutely, that would be an automatic.
Can I add? So just because it's on top of mind, because I was at Policy Links Equity Summit yesterday, and I've gotten a lot of calls about immigration issues. And I'm not trying to make this political, but one of the questions in our policy conversation with the Department of Education, my assistant soup, myself, and our person who actually handles bullying, is that what are we doing as a department to actually address the bullying issue that is actually coming up out of these kind of, quite frankly, anti-immigrant kind of sentiments across the state, right? And so that's a legitimate, it's not about our DACA, it's not about anything else, it's about the fact that we were being also questioned as CDE staff, right? That it's not mutually exclusive, right, Jerry? So we have to acknowledge that it happens. A student testified to
Absolutely,
it. So
it
how do you
happens.
then not make this a separate thing, but it's actually teaching tolerance at a larger scale, right? How you integrating that across your practice, that this is not just a piece of paper, right? That somebody like fill the form versus like the change of practice has to, I mean, we have to feel it in everything that we do, right? That just, because if a student's afraid, they're like, if you tell them to go fill a form, I'm sorry, they're not going to do it because they're going to be afraid of retaliation.
I hear that.
Especially in a situation like that. So I get it, and I appreciate the fact that you say that we're working on it. But they're not mutually exclusive, right? To me,
I don't think
and
they are
nor is it to the
mutually
community.
exclusive.
Across the California, it's not just Washington. It's a real conversation. So I wouldn't dismiss what it being separate and apart. It's like the question is, how do you change
Okay,
school climate at that
I'm
level?
sorry for answering the question that way. I'm sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
Can I ask, let me ask a couple questions, because I would like to get on it, because I didn't hear any of these pieces. And so let's hear about a couple of these things that are happening. So tell us about a couple of the school, what are the social workers doing? What happens when you call them? What type of group? What might be something that is on that plan? What might that look like? Can you give us some of those ideas?
A regular intervention plan, say for instance, let's talk about the target. A lot of times we would offer the target the opportunity to have once a week counseling with our social worker to check in and see what's going on. The site administration should be checking in weekly or biweekly with the student about what's happening, making sure that the teacher's informed of the situation, that it happened previously possibly, and making sure that they're checking in with the student and seeing what's going on. We're also starting to offer some different programs on campus as far as fourth grade, for instance, at Stonegate right now. We're bringing in the GREAT program where Officer Bowers will be talking to students, and it's based originally on gang stuff, but it really doesn't have much to do with it. It talks about how to work within society and work with one another when we may have differences. And then that would be an example, okay, of a support plan for someone. For the aggressor, there's also counseling that needs to go on. There's also discipline that's tied with it, okay, and hopefully it's discipline that makes sense where it will change their behavior from now on. So those are examples.
And I think some of this falls, because we've been talking about the MTSS, which is the multiple, tiers of support. And so some of this I'll bring up that falls on the shoulders of the whole district as we look. So we talked about our student study team meetings that need to be kind of worked through in some of that paperwork. And so to share kind of with the lens with MTSS and some of those other pieces we do in the district, I just heard from Steve Goodman, who he's a researcher out of Michigan, and he gave some great stuff. So I have an extra copy for that I'll share over here. But it talks about the differences between academic support and behavior support, and everything is really woven in. So when we talk about these things with the classrooms, I think the class meetings that are happening, that all of these pieces. There are just so many, and it's complex, that go in other offices as well. And so I want to bring that up because some of those, as we look a lot more, especially at our SST forms, I think about that. Because if we have some issues that are coming forward, we need to model for kids. How do you speak to one another? What do you do if there's a challenge? They need to hear that truly modeled to them and worked with through them through some of these. So in terms of looking at tier 2 and 3, I think that might be a form that we can look at as a district as we look at our SST process as well. Do you have any comments, others, or questions?
I do.
Okay.
Since I'm going on my 5th or 6th year on the board, and many of the administration that's here now was not here previously, and we did have a anti-bullying task force. Your predecessor had a very large binder, and she went over to Sacramento and talked to them about what they were doing. And the problem that was happening, and it was Lisa, was she couldn't get enough staff to participate. So, maybe that's something we need to, it is true. Yes, it is true. Maybe we need to revisit that.
Okay.
We also had a program, and I believe it was $2,000 a year, don't quote me on the amount, that we piloted for a year where students, staff, parents, it was a hotline that they could call for bullying. And we did that for a year. We got some numbers. I don't think it was very high on how many people used it, but when I started on the board, there was two things I came on the board that I was very passionate for, and one was anti-bullying, and one was transportation. And the one simple thing that started the very first summer I was here was put a button on every website that says anti-bullying, so staff, students, teachers, you can push that button on the front of the website and find all the information you needed. I go on those websites now, that has been buried. I don't know what happened, but it's not very accessible to the public. Kevin Bracey, I love him to death. And I'm not 100% sure, but I thought he did some programs with staff and community also.
He does.
I don't know the outcome and the attendance of that. Times have changed. It's 6 years later. And I just want to make sure we have the most current. I think we need to have things accessible to our community. And I once again challenge, because this is the one thing I challenged early on when I came on the board, was every school site needs to put that button right there. Not hidden down below, not, click this link and maybe you'll find it. But this is very serious across the nation. And I really would like to see some research on that program we had that was, again, $2,000 a phone program that sometimes kids don't fill out a form. Right. They don't have the internet, as you say. They can pick up a phone and call for help or talk to somebody. So maybe those are some things we need to research again to bring back. I mean, I don't think $2,000 a year, maybe now it'll be $5,000. I don't think that's too much money to invest in the safety of our kids. So those are just things that have happened in the past that some board members may not have been here. I know a lot of administration hadn't been here, but I do agree that I would like to research of having a task force. I think, and having the community be part of that. Mm-hmm. So those are things I would like to see, and I don't want it swept under the rug. Yeah. And again, I would challenge every website, every school site today to put that button on the front page where I could go on and click it and not have it hidden. And that cost to the district is $0. So I know we're doing a lot, but I thank you for the time you put into this. Again, I know Kevin Bracey is wonderful. I hope he is bringing updated stuff, not, every year we're doing the same thing. Times change. So I just want to give that history out. So I think there's some things we need to revisit.
And the website, I know our websites are being revisited, and I appreciate you bringing that up. And so that would be a communication piece, not a Jerry Smith piece, but they should be on the school websites, and that was a discussion for a long time. In terms of phone numbers, there's one for free right now that I can share that students can text, because sometimes it's really intimidating to pick up a phone and call. It's free, doesn't cost the district anything. It's through Trevor Lifeline, 866-488-7386, and I can share this with you. It's Trevor Lifeline, but that's a good use that a lot of kids share, and it's nice because now that they have the text option. Do we have one more comment, and then I want to switch gear before we go?
Sure. I'm more focused on process on this. When we're getting a conflict resolution situation, and we have, say one parent who's willing to meet and another parent who isn't. Walk me through how that process would take place. I mean, what do we do to try and encourage that person or that parent to take part in this restorative justice?
We offer both families the opportunity to do that, and see if we can get them to agree to it. If they don't, I would say that we try to offer it again. Mm-hmm. And we've brought it up numerous times in different situations. And if people don't want to, we don't have the power to force that to happen.
Right.
So it's frustrating for us too, because we think the process does work to help support the kids and the families.
So then if the parents refuse to meet, then we go down to the kids and try and get them to meet in this conflict resolution sort of process.
Yeah, in a situation like this, so we also make sure that the parents are aware of it, and sometimes the parents won't allow their children to meet with those people as well, the other student.
Oh, okay. So I'm just going to say, here's a hypothetical. The parents don't want to meet, but the children will be allowed to meet. What would transpire? Can you show me, just like an example of what types of things are said and
Depending on the age level, okay? I know our social workers have a system where they, with younger ones, they actually have them draw out and write out the things that have happened to them and that they're concerned about and how it makes them feel, et cetera. Then they actually take the drawings and the written material and give it to the other student so they know how the other person feels when that's happening to them. And what's going on. And at that point in time, after they're able to see that, then they bring the two students together and start, giving them information and have questions to see if they can help them resolve their issue. I've only sat in on the outside because I'm not a social worker. I sit on the outside and watch it, and I've seen it work really well. Our folks do a real nice job trying to bring the kids together so they can see if they can get their situation cured.
What about a little bit older children? How does that?
Certainly at the high school, and Stanley's still here, I mean, he could speak to it just as well as I can, and the fact that they have a conflict resolution program and peer mediation where the kids are actually gone through the training to be the mediator for the student situation. It works very well a lot of times. At times, if they're struggling with the student mediator doing that, then it's passed on to the administration to see if they can mediate the problem. But at the high school level, we really try to use the kids at the first level to try to support them, to support the system to see if they can, figure the situation out.
No, thank you.
Okay.
I want to say thank you. I've seen on the campuses the students who have created their own clubs on their own, to create safe places and anti-bullying campaigns that they've done. And it being in a place now where we have 4 social workers, 5 outreach specialists, that's a big change. And so there's work to do. But I appreciate you coming here and being honest about that work and sharing. There's a lot of successes too. We've done a lot of things and come a long way, and I very much appreciate that. And as we all know here, we're very passionate about our kids and their safety and coming to school and feeling good and valued. And I know that you are as well. And that's why we're here every day for the kids. So I appreciate that. And on the same note, I want to share, I think a lot of people don't always know what your office does in terms of the tragedies that happen in this community. And I wish, in some ways we could go back in time and have this support team that we have now. Because when we first came on the board, we had a student who was killed, and I don't know how much we did as a district in terms of reaching out and wrapping our arms around that family. And we've had a lot of tragedy, and I so appreciate your team and knowing that they are going to be at a school site. They're going to be there right away for kids. They're going to be there for the students in the classroom. They're going to be there for the parents. They're going to be there for every family and every teacher. And I think that's some of the most impressive work that your team does, and we so appreciate it because that's the hardest work. We had a message last night because the student unfortunately there was a tragedy in our district, and right away we knew that your team was out there and they were going to be there this morning. And so we appreciate that. That's a lot of time that's not on the clock. Those are a lot of late nights working hard because you care about our kids and making sure that they're safe at school and they're supported. So I want to thank you for that work. It doesn't show up on your PowerPoint, but it's important.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to say thank you, Jerry. You often have to come up here and give us the difficult news of things that are very challenging. Bullying's one of them. Dealing with student suspensions is another one where, we're sitting up here and it looks like we're grilling you, but at the same time, you don't get enough compliments and kudos for the wonderful work you do with the student support services, like Sarah mentioned. I can't thank you enough for all that work that you have done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, that takes us to P2, which is our Sunshine Additional Article Proposal from Washington Teachers Association to Washington Unified School District, and that is with Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, Michael Reed.
So excuse me, this is item P2. It's an information item only. It's a public hearing, will be brought back on November 9th. WTA is sunshining 3 additional articles for negotiations, and primarily these items were open to address the impact of Assembly Bill 119.
Okay, all right, thank you. Then that takes us to action Q1, approval of the adoption of Resolution 1718-07, authorizing the projects and filing of applications for funding under the state school facility programs. And that is Dr. Parsons, Assistant Superintendent, Educational Services.
Good evening, President Kirby Gonzalez, Board of Education, Cabinet, and Public. Tonight, we ask the board to approve Resolution number 171807, authorizing CTE project on Bright Campus. There is a state facilities grant where we intend on applying for $1.5 million. It is a matching grant. However, we're working with the state, and the money that's already is allocated for Phase 2, which is roughly $6 million, can be counted as that matching grant. Renee Collins, our Director of College and Career Readiness, facilitated an advisory CTE committee today to start working on the grant because the timeline's very short. But we're going to be using the money primarily to modernize parts of Phase 2, primarily in the realm of additional equipment. We're looking at medical occupations and possibly engineering with the $1.5 million. And so the board has in front of them a resolution that needs to be adopted by the board, just saying it's okay for us to apply for this money.
Okay, great. And so this.
So moved.
Sounds good. It's good to know.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay, motion was made by Board Vice President Pizzotti. Was that a second? Seconded by Board Trustee Akala, and this is a roll call vote, correct?
Correct.
So we have Board Trustee Cruz.
Aye.
Board Trustee Akala.
Aye.
Vice President Pizzotti.
Aye.
Board Trustee Wong.
Aye.
And I too vote aye.
Thank you.
Okay, and so that takes us to Q2, approval of Resolution 1718-08, the purchase of network backup equipment and services, Nimble and Veeam. And that is Kim Harrison, the Director of Technology, Education Services.
I'm trying to be quick about it. Good evening, everyone. I'm here with Board Resolution 1718-08 to purchase backup equipment for our servers at the district office in at River City. This is another piggyback purchasing agreement. I think I've brought a PEPM to you and NASPO to you, and now I'm bringing a National Joint Powers Alliance. This is another purchasing mechanism that allows us to receive discounts on our equipment purchases because it's part of a governmental contract. This particular contract is with CDWG, which does a lot of business with schools and government agencies, and it specifically is calling out our network backup equipment. And the next action on the board agenda is the actual purchase, so it's not two separate purchases. We have a current backup system at River City and at the district office. They serve as backups to each other, so if something were to happen at River City, we have a backup at the district office. If something were to happen at the district office, we would have the information at River City. This is a very, very old system. It has not been replaced for 5 or 6 years, and what we're experiencing is failures where we're losing backup data. The backup is occurring daily, so it is a continuous backup. And for our servers, that's every 2 hours. So when we do lose a backup of our Aries data, we're not losing months worth of data. We're losing maybe 2 hours, at most 24 hours. It could be email backups. And again, these are backups. We're not losing email. So my staff, I brought to them different projects that we need to work on, and they were given a choice of a couple projects, and they said this was a high priority. They're getting a little nervous. So we went out and started looking at different solutions and brought in Nimble and Veeam, and it's a virtualized environment, which I won't go way technical on you guys this late at night. But they felt that that was perhaps our best solution. They put in a proof of concept where we actually brought in the equipment and started using it on our system, and they absolutely love it in terms of just the efficiency, how quick it works, how easily it is to use within our environment. I was at a Yolo County office of Education IT directors this morning, and we were having a meeting, and I was telling them what our solution, and the other directors are like, oh, you're so lucky, that's a great solution. So the resolution before you tonight is to allow my department to move forward to purchase this equipment to support our network using the National Joint Powers Alliance agreement, which saves us substantial money.
Can I just say one thing? I love how the tech industry constantly creates new technology so that just in a few short years, everything's outdated and things now start to fail. It's almost by design.
Yes,
you know?
It is a rolling
Nice
continuation.
little racket. Yeah, so that's it.
Since you're here, I just have to say quickly how amazing it is to see all of the technology going in classrooms. I mean, the slideshows that were done earlier, the things that kids are doing with coding, it's really, I feel like we're leaders in the region, and it's incredible. So
We have
thank
some
you.
superstar teachers. One of our teachers is presenting at the Fall Q conference tomorrow, Stephanie
very
Kugler,
nice.
on the work that she's doing in her classroom around history and middle school students.
Nice.
So.
Thank you. Okay, so do I have a motion? Okay, I have a motion made by Vice President Pizzotti. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Board Trustee Wong. And this is another resolution. So Board Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Board Trustee Cruz.
Aye.
I too vote aye. Vice President Pizzotti.
Aye.
And Board Trustee Akala.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. And that now takes us, to Q3, approval of independent contracting agreement between CDWG and Washington Unified School District.
So this is the actual independent contracting agreement with CDWG that we would move forward with the actual purchase. To give you an idea of the kind of savings that we have, it's about $500,000 on this equipment. So our total cost will be, I believe, $267,000, and it will allow us to have backups. Currently, our backups are they retain information for about 2 months. Of about 2 months worth of backups. This will give us a year's worth of backups. And instead of taking an entire day to run the backups, it will be done in a matter of hours, couple hours. So this is our independent contracting agreement.
Just a quick question. What will be done with the surplus equipment then?
The actual physical equipment will probably be e-wasted, maybe saved for if they need it for other systems. But I wouldn't anticipate that we would keep.
They're not reusable?
We would try to reuse it if we could, but right now they're failing consistently.
Okay.
And what they've been doing is just swapping out drives. So as a drive fails, they swap in a new drive.
Got it.
Okay, motion was made by Vice President Pizzotti.
Second.
Seconded by Board Trustee Cruz. All those in favor?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Thank you very
Thank
much. Have a good evening.
Wait,
That
does it
is-
have to be a voice vote because
Wasn't
it's a
that
resolution?
That one is a no, Q3
independent
is not a
contracting.
resolution.
Sorry, I'm on
But that takes
Q4.
us to Q4, which is approval of the adoption of resolution number 1718-09 for National Bullying Prevention Month, and that again is Dr. Parsons.
Good evening again. October is designated as National Bullying Prevention Month with the intention of uniting communities around the world to educate and raise awareness of bullying prevention. So in Washington Unified School District believes that all students have the right to a safe and healthy school environment. The district schools and the West Sacramento community have an obligation to promote mutual respect, tolerance, and acceptance, which is why we would like the board to approve Resolution 1718-09 for National Bullying Prevention Month.
Great, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move.
Okay, the motion was made by Board Trustee Wong. It was seconded by Vice President Pizzotti, and it's a roll call vote. So Trustee Cruz?
Aye.
Trustee Wong?
Aye.
Trustee Akala?
Aye.
Vice President Pizzotti? Aye. I too vote aye. And Board Trustee Wong, would you like to read the resolution for us?
Since I was so passionate about it earlier. So just wanted to read this with the last few days of October. Thank you for bringing it to our attention earlier, Trustee Cruz, so I appreciate that. Whereas the Washington Unified School District believes that all students have a right to safe and healthy school environment. The district schools and West Sacramento community have an obligation to promote mutual respect, tolerance, and acceptance. Whereas the Washington Unified School District will not tolerate the behavior that infringes on the safety of any student, a student shall not intimidate, harass, or bully another student through words or actions. Such behavior includes direct physical contact, such as hitting or shoving, verbal assaults, such as teasing or name-calling, and social isolation or manipulation. Whereas the Washington Unified School District expects staff, students, and/or staff to immediately report incidents of bullying to the principal or designee. Staff who witness such acts take immediate steps to intervene when safe to do so. Each complaint of bullying should be promptly investigated. This policy applies to students on school grounds while traveling to and from school or school-sponsored activity during the lunch period, whether on or off campus, and during a school-sponsored activity. Whereas to ensure bullying is prevented on school campuses, the Washington Unified School District will provide staff development training in bullying prevention and cultivate acceptance and understanding in all students and staff to build each school's capacity to maintain a safe and healthy learning environment. Whereas teachers should discuss this policy with their students in age-appropriate ways and should assure them that they need not endure any form of bullying. Students who bully are in violation of this policy and are subject to disciplinary action up to and including expulsion. Now therefore it be resolved that as the Board of Education of Washington Unified School District, we proclaim our school district will stand with the nation in recognizing October as Bullying Prevention Month. We hereby commit to focusing on eliminating any form of bullying and providing safe, healthy learning environments for our students at school, while online, and in the community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. So that takes us to Board Governments, R1, the second read and approval of Board Policy and Administrative Regulations 6153, school-sponsored trips. Dr. Parsons.
At the last board meeting, we had a first read, and I asked for feedback from the board, and there were two comments that were made, and those are under the administrative regulation. The first one says chaperones must follow volunteer protocols, which includes fingerprinting, and the second request from the board says, if necessary for medical intervention and support, the lead staff member will be trained and possess an EpiPen. The lead staff member will communicate with parents, guardians, or foster parents on appropriate medical history and prescribed medications to be taken during the field trip. So tonight we ask the board for board approval.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so the motion was made by Trustee Wong, seconded by Vice President Pizzotti. All those in favor?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that takes us to the future board agenda items, and I feel like we're missing our school lunches with that. Yes, we are. Okay, so that will noted. Yes, we'll put that back there, is to revisit our lunch program. And we have our board study session on district accountability progress program update. And I think that's all. Okay. Then I will, can I have a motion to close this meeting?
To adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn by Vice President Pizzotti. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Board Trustee Cruz. All those in favor?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Happy Halloween. And now I open this special Board of Education meeting for October 26, 2017. Let the record reflect that all trustees are present. We have no public comments for this item, so that takes us to action item approval of Stonegate School Grade 4 overnight field trip on October 30th, 2017. Any comments, or can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion to approve by Board Trustee Cruz.
Second.
seconded by Board Trustee Akala. All those in favor?
Aye.
I too vote aye. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, motion was made by Vice President Pizzotti and seconded by Trustee Wong? Did I hear you? Trustee Wong? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I too vote aye.
Hey, we're off.